Let's get ready to mortgage. He is the prince of programs, guru of guidelines, master of matrices. He puts the fun in funding. Please welcome Mark, Mr. Mortgage, I tell.
All right. Hey guys, it's Mark Itel here, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Man, oh man, I'm super excited that you're with us today. And you're right, Mr. Announcer, we do put the fun in funding. And guys, we're going to kick this show off with a fun story. I was doing some research, prepping for today's show, some last minute research, and I stumbled across a new valuation model for real estate that I think you may find interesting. Hey, but before we get to that, guys, if you've got questions or comments, that is what drives the show. Just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime Hotline. And Jen is back there. And I got to tell you guys, she is looking super sporty today in her brand new Mr. Mortgage hat and Mr. Mortgage t-shirt. That's right. We had a new shipment come into the studio and she's already raided the box. She's looking mighty sporty back there, Miss Jen. I don't know where that country voice came from. But anyway, call or text 855-462-7292. 855-462-7292 is the Anytime Hotline. Call or text that number and Jen will get you on the air. If you prefer to shoot us an email, just visit MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the email icon, and you can shoot her your questions that way. All right, housekeeping out of the way. Each week, as I'm prepping for the show, I'm going through data set after data set, report after report. I'm on CNBC, I'm on Forbes, I'm all over the internet, scouring from coast to coast to find you the best data. But I got to tell you, this morning, when I was doing some last minute prep, just scrolling through social media, making sure I didn't miss anything. I've already got all the reports downloaded. Desk is covered with papers. I'm on TikTok of all things. Yes, I'm guilty pleasure. I'm not embarrassed to admit I scroll through it from time to time. In addition to some amazing recipes, I found this guy today and I want to share this with you. I stumbled across a live feed with a real estate agent in Las Vegas. Young guy, super high energy, very, very entertaining. He was challenging the audience that was commenting in his live stream feed to dispel the accuracy of this valuation metric, if you will, that he's created. He surmises that you can drive any neighborhood in any city and evaluate the value and the stability of the property values in that neighborhood simply by observing the number of attractive moms, wives, housewives in the middle of the day that are jogging or pushing baby strollers through the park. Not, guys, this isn't my data. I didn't come up with this, but he called it the hot chick-o-meter. He says you can drive through any community and simply do a head count of beautiful people, and whichever community has the most beautiful people, that's the best community to buy in. Rich dads and attractive moms is how he defined the data set that he calls the hot chick-o-meter. So when you're out and about driving around, take a look around. What neighborhood are you living in? I got a great kick out of it. I was laughing. I hung into that stream for about 5 minutes, and the comments were hilarious, and he was holding his ground. I'm sure it was all in jest. I'm sure it was all just a lot of fun for him. But man, he did a great job of defending the data that he was using in this beautiful people-o-meter, hot chick-o-meter, I think he called it. But I got a kick out of it. So yeah, put that to the test in your area and let me know how that checks out. So maybe I'm doing all this additional research for nothing. Maybe I just need to drive around and look at the pretty people. What do you think, Jen? Oh, Jen's giving me hand signals that I can't repeat on the air. But guys, let's dive into some real data. We posted this to the Facebook group this week, and I found it super, super interesting because if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, you know oftentimes we're marching in the other direction, right? The big scary headlines, usually the data contradicts them, and because our goal is always to give you the data, the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the answers to your questions so you can go make better real estate and mortgage decisions for you and your family. You hear me say that all the time. That's kind of my motto, if you will, my mantra. That's what we're trying to do each week here. Because we research the data, we're often contradicting some of the headlines, if you will. Well, guys, here we go again. Last year, everybody was beating the drum that this housing market was over. The higher interest rates were going to kill it. The buyers were exhausted, pushed to the edge of their buying power, and this market is overheated. It's got to correct, and it's going to correct significantly, right? A lot of people waited until the beginning of Q2 of 2023 was supposed to be this big buying opportunity. Well, here we are in the middle of Q3 in 2023, and where are we value-wise? Well, guys, depending on what data set you're looking at, we're in either the 5th or 6th consecutive month of month-over-month appreciation. That's right. We've established an upward trend of between 5 and 6 months, which means we've eclipsed the housing recession that everybody predicted. Now, depending on which data set you look at, in front of me I have Case, Shiller, FHFA, and CoreLogic's data. The longest pullback period was 7 months. The shortest one was 5. The largest pullback was 3%. And I always find this fascinating. If you're looking at the same data, how are you interpreting it differently? But nonetheless, Case Shiller says we pulled back 2.5%. FHFA says 1.7, but CoreLogic was 3.5%. Well, that's it, guys. 3.5% correction over 7 months, and now we're 5 months based on their data into an appreciation cycle again. So no housing crash, and that's in the face of higher interest rates, in the face of continued inflation, albeit, moving in the right direction, according to the data that's most recently been released. In the face of all these hurdles, we had a hiccup. We had a speed bump. We didn't have a correction or a crash, and it's certainly nothing like we experienced before in 2008. And I've been saying it to anybody who will listen. That's because what fueled this appreciation cycle is nothing like 2008. So there's far more stability in this market, and supply and demand is hard at work, guys. Nobody wants to sell their property and get rid of that low interest rate and go buy at these higher prices and higher monetary costs. And we've got some workarounds for that we can touch on this week. But I found that interesting, guys. All the naysayers and doomsdayers that have been beating this drum for years, most loudly starting last year, seem to have to wait a little bit longer before this quote unquote crash is coming, because we're just not seeing it if we're evaluating just the data. And I encourage you guys to look at the data. Don't get caught up in the fear and the emotion, because emotion and logic can't run the same brain at the same time. Let's focus on facts and not fear. Let's focus on data, not drama. Help and not hype, guys. All right, that's it. Those are all my catchphrases that I can squeeze into this one. You hear the music, you know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Don't let realtor commissions eat away at your hard-earned equity. With FSBO, you can save thousands by doing it yourself. Avoid the tire kickers and pushy realtors. Meet FSBO, your free, no-strings-attached guide to selling your home by owner. You're a do-it-yourselfer, and we respect that. No more dealing with time wasters, tire kickers, or unqualified buyers, and definitely no more pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. With FSBO, you won't have to worry about showing your home to unqualified time wasters. We help you navigate the for-sale-by-owner process safely and securely. FSBO, the commission killer, putting the power back in your hands and the equity back in your pocket. Visit FSBOzilla.com today, FSBOzilla, because you can do it yourself and we're here to help. Check out FSBOzilla.com.
Let me tell you a little story about a man named Jed. Well, this is not a story about Jed, but it is a story about Mary. Mary is an awesome single mom who's been raising her daughter in a one-bedroom, one-bath apartment for the last 11 years. That's right, one bedroom and one bath. Hey, they've made the best of it. They've got bunk beds in there and it's worked. But her daughter's now a teenager and it's becoming a challenge, especially sharing that bathroom. She decided to jump in and become a homeowner. We got her approved with an FHA loan. That's right, I said it, FHA. Hey, if your agent's telling you FHA and VA loans are not getting accepted, you are working with the wrong agent. Contact me and I'll get you in touch with a really great agent. Hey, but back to Mary. She jumped in and she is now a proud homeowner. They have their own bedrooms, but more importantly, their own baths. They couldn't be happier. Guys, if you'd like to learn more, check out MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And I am joined, as always, by my lovely producer, Jen, who is womanning the Anytime Hotline, and she will get your questions on the air if you call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292, or shoot her an email, and you can do that by heading over to MrMortgageRadio.com, MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can send her your questions that way. But hey, speaking of Jen, who is looking mighty sporty today, as I mentioned, she's got her Mr. Mortgage gear on. We got a big box of t-shirts and hats that came in, so we were all looking kind of sporty today. But yeah, she's got some questions ready. So let me throw it her way for question number 1. Go ahead, Jen.
Emma sent us a text. How are rising interest rates currently impacting the real estate market?
Hey, Emma. Yeah, I kind of alluded to that in the opening segment. The values continue to hold strong. I think the increase in interest rates continue to pressure supply. And I talked about it in the opening segment that a lot of people don't want to sell if they've got a 3 or 4 or 5% interest rate and go buy a house at a 6 or 7% interest rate because it's going to cost so much more each month. So we're working with clients around some strategies to keep their monthly payments the same or even lower them by looking at their overall monthly expenses. And I'll dive into that a little bit later in the show. I don't want to derail this answer, but to answer your question, right now, all it's doing is continuing to pressure supply, which is buoying these prices. And jobless data and new hire data this week was released supporting that the economy remains strong as far as people are out there working, earning, and spending money. So it doesn't seem that the higher interest rate environment at this point is negatively impacting anything other than volume. So I hope that helps. Go ahead, Jen.
Mike emailed this question. Will a debt consolidation refinance negatively impact my credit score?
Hey, Mike, that's a really interesting question, my man. Oftentimes, the debt consolidation REC refinance, right? REC, reduce, eliminate, and consolidate. It's a refinance program that we've got that allows you to consolidate your debts. We can pay off debts at closing and take those out of your debt to income ratio now so you qualify. It's a unique product, but oftentimes people who go through the debt consolidation or REC refi process find that their credit score increases because suddenly a lot of debt is paid off. So to the contrary, oftentimes it will improve your credit. Now, I say that, but I caution you this, age of trade lines or credit lines, right? How long you've had an account open, and this goes to credit cards primarily, but age of credit is a scoring criteria. So what happens to some people is they'll pay everything off and close out all of the accounts. and then they don't have any older trade lines that are reporting, so it looks like all new credit, that can have a negative impact on your credit score. Or another scoring criteria is the ratio of available credit to outstanding debt. And what I mean by that is if you had, 5 credit cards all with a $1,000 balance, and 3 of them were maxed out. So you would have $5,000 of overall available credit, but you have used $3,000, right? So that's more than 50%. That can negatively impact your credit. So if you pay all of that off, suddenly you've got a far lower, in this case, a 0 ratio, because you'd have 5,000 available, 0 used. That'll pull your score up. But if you close those cards out and you keep only 1 card open with a $500 or $700 balance on it, now your available credit to outstanding debt ratio has gone up, even though you paid off all those cards, because they're closed and no longer reporting. So those are the 2 instances where managing your trade lines, not your debt, right, but managing your trade lines can either increase or decrease your credit score. And I'm happy to walk you through some strategies to utilize a debt consolidation loan. And a lot of people are doing it right now in the face of these increased interest rates, because credit card interest rates have gone up, equity line interest rates have gone up. I talk about it all the time. There are a lot of people who can't sell or trade or refinance their car because they bought it in the height of the pandemic and they owe more than it's worth. A lot of people are taking this newfound equity, all of this wealth that they have in the house, and just saying, I'm done with all this high interest rate consumer debt. Yeah, I'm going to increase my mortgage interest rate a little bit, or in some cases a lot of bit, but monthly I'm saving more money by doing it than I am by not doing it. And people are just saying, okay, I'm at a frustration point where this makes sense. And you can use a rate buy down strategy with a refinance too. So I know that's a lengthy answer, but I wanted to throw all of that in there because age of credit, available credit to outstanding debt are 2 scoring criteria that if you paid off certain cards and closed them out, could indeed have a negative impact as part of a debt consolidation. So interesting question. I appreciate that one. I hope that helps. But guys, I say it all the time. If you're not having these high level conversations with your mortgage guy about things like this, managing your trade lines to maximize your credit score, because despite all of the misleading headlines earlier this year about higher credit scores being penalized, it's still cheaper to borrow money with a higher credit score, regardless of those changes. So you want the very best credit score, and I'm happy to walk you through some of the scoring model criteria so you can better understand how to manage the credit scores, which is going to give you access to the very best in all loan programs, the very best car interest rate, the very best credit card interest rate. Is all of that is dictated by your credit score. So it's super important that you understand it, and it's super important that you manage it. But I certainly appreciate that question, and I hope that answer helped. Guys, I'm open to having that conversation with anybody out there who wants to better understand that. So anyway, guys, you hear the music. You know what that means. That is my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight. On the other side of this very short commercial break, we'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBO, the commission killer. FSBO is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOZILLA.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBO, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOZILLA.com. FSBO, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOZILLA.com.
raise your hand if you are freaked out by what's happening in the banking world. Well, no, put your hands back on the steering wheel. It's all starting to feel like a house of cards. And what about that $17 billion, yes, billion with a B, dollars worth of bondholder money that was lost in that Credit Suisse takeover? Right now, I'm hearing more and more people talk about a flight to safety, and they're looking at gold and silver and other precious metals, but also rental property. Yep, income-producing rental property is starting to become sexy again. Guys, we've got an amazing loan program called the Landlord Loan. It's an easy way to acquire rental property. If you've got good credit and the assets, we don't even look at your personal income. We look at the income produced by the property. Assuming that it supports the debt, boom, you're a landlord. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005, and my team and I are here and happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And guys, if you want your questions or comments on the air, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That is affectionately known as the Anytime Hotline. And you can call or text that number. Jen will get you on the air, 855-462-7292. Or shoot us an email by visiting MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can shoot us over your questions via email. But speaking of your questions, we got a stack of them back there, so let's keep this rolling. Throw one my way, Jen.
Beth sent this. We're going the for sale by owner route and have the FSBO Zilla book. If an agent brings us a buyer, how do we know how much commission to offer them? What if they want more than we offer?
Hey, Beth, that's an awesome question, and thank you for checking out the book. Guys, if you don't know what Beth and I are talking about, FSBO Zilla, the Commission Killer, is the book that we published regarding for sale by owner. So FSBO, for sale by owner, that acronym is often called FSBO. And then I'm a Godzilla fan, so we went with the FSBO Zilla as the title of the book. But it lays out in 18 chapters, step by step, on how to go about the for sale by owner process on your own. And guys, we're having a lot of fun with that. So first of all, thanks for grabbing the book. And it's free, guys. It's free. It's on FSBOZilla.com, or go to MrMortgageRadio.com and click on that link. But anyway, to answer your question, don't forget that you are in control of the negotiations. And that happens a lot when you go the for sale by owner route, because in the old days, the only way to get your property marketed to a mass audience was to go through a real estate agent, right? And I'm not against agents, guys. We are proud supporters of the Really Great Agent Network. A really great agent can make a huge difference. But in the old days, it was the only way to do it. Well, with the advent and the adoption of Zillow, and the vast majority of people using Zillow as a resource to search properties on their own, well, in the FSBO Zilla book, it lays out step by step how to list your property as a for sale by owner on Zillow for free. You now have access to the audience, right? So you're in control of this. They have a buyer. They're going to be super, super helpful in the process, in coordinating things like inspections and getting you over the loan commitment documents. They definitely have a very valuable role representing the buyer. But don't forget, you can negotiate just about everything. Now, most of the buyer's agents are conditioned to ask for what would be, traditional, if you will, and everything's negotiable, and it's different depending on the brokerage and the location. So I don't want to give you a hard and fast number, because it's up to you what that value add is that they're going to bring to the table. But everything's negotiable. And if they want more than you're comfortable with, just share with them that this is all you're comfortable paying, and likely you'll be able to negotiate something, because don't forget, their people want the house. So you have a lot of negotiating power. Now, it may take some negotiations to get it done, but that's what you signed up for in saving all of the commission on the listing side of things. So, but not uncommon for a for sale by owner to pay a buyer's agent to bring them a buyer. And as I mentioned, even though they're representing the other side of the transaction in that case, it is often helpful to have a professional involved. So I hope that helps. If you want to go deeper on this subject, give me a call off the air, because I really would need to know what your specifics are. But everything in a real estate transaction, with the exception of the governmental fees, are negotiable. Now, who pays those fees are negotiable too, though. So anyway, great question, and thanks for checking out the book. Super excited that you got a copy. All right, Jen, throw me another question.
Jessica emailed us. Is now a good time to buy rental properties considering the current economic climate, or does it make sense to wait?
Well, that's another one, right? I wish I had a crystal ball, because who knows? What I know is, as fewer and fewer people are able to buy property, whether that's because of price or interest rate or taxes or insurance or a combination of all of those things, that means that the pool of people who are renters are going to continue to grow. So from that perspective, yeah, I think it would be a good time, because renters continue to outpace buyers, right? There's more people who are renting than out there buying right now at present. So where I think you need to do some real evaluation is on the values. Make sure the property cash flows. Make sure buying it at this price and borrowing money, if you're borrowing money at this interest rate, make sure that you're able to cash flow that property. A lot of people overestimate what they can rent a property for. So I would just caution you to do your due diligence on that side of things. But we're seeing a big uptick in interest from people who want to buy rental property, and they're doing it with their equity in their house. I think that's what's really unlocked this desire for a lot of people. One is they're seeing the renter pool grow, right? Because we had just, laid out how buying is becoming more difficult for a larger percentage of the population, right? Wages aren't keeping up with inflation, and part of inflation is housing prices, and now the cost of money back up around 7%. So from that perspective, a lot of people are going to be renters for a while. And if that's the case, and you've got $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 in equity in your property, I spoke to a woman who has a significant equity position, and she wants to pull some equity out and convert her basement to an apartment and then go out and buy a duplex. So she's going to take some of that money, if you will, that's trapped in the house, that's not earning any income, and she's going to create 3 additional income streams: the 2 units in the duplex and the basement apartment. So from that perspective, a lot of people have the ability to make some moves in the investor world who in the past might not have had access to the capital. And I'll close with this. The landlord loan is an easy loan program to use, and it's available to first-time investors because all of the income evaluation is placed on the property and not the individual. So I would not be afraid to buy investment property in this market as long as those parameters are considered and you're comfortable with the cash flow position, because you don't want to overpay for something that's not producing cash flow each month, thinking that it's going to appreciate and you're going to subsidize that with your wages, because I don't think that's a smart move. But if the property is generating positive cash, I think the demand for rentals is strong moving into the future. Now, will rental rates flatten out at some point? Yeah, probably. But I don't, just like the decline in the housing market that was predicted last year never came to fruition, I'm not sure there's a big downturn in rental rates anytime soon. But I say all of that and then remind everyone I don't have a crystal ball. So, but to answer your question, I don't think it's a bad time. I would just do some serious evaluation on cash flow. And I'm happy to walk you through it and anybody who has questions about it. So, hey guys, you hear the music? You know what that means? That is my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very, very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Don't let realtor commissions eat away at your hard-earned equity. With FSBO, you can save thousands by doing it yourself. Avoid the tire kickers and pushy realtors. Meet FSBO, your free, no-strings-attached guide to selling your home by owner. You're a do-it-yourselfer, and we respect that. No more dealing with time wasters, tire kickers, or unqualified buyers, and definitely no more pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. With FSBO, you won't have to worry about showing your home to unqualified time wasters. We help you navigate the for-sale-by-owner process safely and securely. FSBO, the commission killer, putting the power back in your hands and the equity back in your pocket. Visit FSBOzilla.com today, FSBOzilla, because you can do it yourself and we're here to help. Check out FSBOzilla.com.
So you think interest rates have gotten too high to refi? Well, not so fast. There are several reasons people refinance. Sure, lowering your interest rate is one, but there's debt consolidation, home improvement, unexpected medical expenses, pulling out some equity to go buy an investment property. Heck, I even know of one guy who refinanced his house so he could buy his mistress a condo. But let's jump back to debt consolidation for a minute. I'm working with a client right now. His name is Ben. He's going to refinance his house, pay off a host of credit cards, and 2 truck payments. And yes, his mortgage interest rate is going to go up, but his monthly expenses are going to go down significantly. And that monthly savings is going to get he and his family back on track. Guys, if you've got questions, check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. I host the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are always here and happy to help. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right. Hey, guys, it's Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And, man, we got some questions backed up there, so I am going to do a rapid round of questions, but, hey, we can always squeeze in another. Call or text your questions to 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. Jen is womaning the Anytime hotline, and she'll get your questions on the air. But let's toss it right over to Jen and keep it rolling. Go ahead, Jen. Do you have a question ready?
Drew sent us this. I listened to your podcast and heard you talking about buying a rental to sell to my son later. Can you explain this? How does the selling part work?
Hey, Drew, thank you for that question, my man, and thank you for listening to the podcast, which, guys, by the way, you can find by visiting MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. That very top link will take you to the podcast page. And each week when we are done making mortgage magic here in the studio, Jen is recording the show as we're doing it, and she will put the podcast version of it up on the internet, MrMortgageRadio.com, and click that very top link. It'll take you to the podcast. But let me answer your question because that's a brilliant question. So, guys, before that break, we were talking about utilizing some of this newfound equity to buy investment properties, right? Well, here's the thing. A lot of people are worried about how is my son or daughter ever going to be able to afford to buy a house the way things are right now. My kid is never going to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist. And how is a regular guy in 10 or gal in 10 or 15 years going to afford a first home? Well, we came up with a strategy. We're calling it equity roll down. You roll some of your equity down to your kids, and you're doing it by extracting it either with an equity line of credit or with a cash out refi. Some people are looking at the rec refi to pay off all their consumer debt, lower their monthly payments, pull some equity out, and use the landlord loan to go buy a property. And here's the strategy. You rent that property out until your child is ready to move out on their own. And what you've done is essentially put their home on layaway. You've bought it at today's prices, and someone else is doing you the awesome favor of paying down the principal while over a 10 or 15 year period, it's very, very likely that the property is going to appreciate. And even if the property doesn't appreciate, they've paid the principal down. So now you've got a nice equity nest egg in that rental property, and it really cost you nothing. I know it's not nothing because there are closing costs, but my point is you took equity out of your current property, and now you have equity in an investment property, which is going to grow over time as someone is paying you rent. Now, when your child is ready, you sell them that property and you gift them equity. So they don't even have to come up with a down payment. And you can gift them enough equity to get them qualified, and you can pull the rest of the cash out for yourself. So I think in light of what's happening in our society right now, as wages aren't keeping up with inflation and everybody is fearing that an entire generation of kids, whether it's your grandkids, your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, a lot of us are fearful of an entire generation being left behind, or a large portion of them. Guys, imagine what your life would be like today if you didn't have equity and you didn't experience homeownership. Not just the equity, because that's super important, but what about the tax benefits of owning property? There are so many unspoken benefits, the stability, but the equity is the big one, because whether it's a medical emergency and an equity line that gets you through it, whether it's an investment opportunity, or what I did in my life, I bought a little beater of a house in the neighborhood I grew up in, little 2-bedroom, 1-bath carport house, and fixed it up, lived there for a while, built up some equity, and took that equity and bought in the neighborhood I wanted. And guess what, guys? I'm old enough that was a double-digit interest rate and a very, very low single-digit appreciation cycle that allowed me to move up. And my brother rented for the same amount of time that I owned that property, and over the course of that period of time, his rent almost doubled. And then he thought, wait a minute, I'm better looking than Mark. I'm smarter than Mark. How's he doing this? Well, it wasn't me. I didn't save one nickel. It was the appreciation in the property that gave me the opportunity. So I think looking at opportunities like this, setting yourself up to be able to do a gift of equity on a rental property in the future is a strategy a lot of people aren't talking about. And I say it all the time, guys, if you're not having these type of conversations with your mortgage professional, you're talking to the wrong person. And I would love, love, love for you to talk to us, guys, because if you can hear my voice, we can be your choice. Our team is everywhere the show is. And I'm talking about equity roll down. I'm talking about the global cost of money and blended rate. Does it make sense to move up or refinance and get rid of that low interest rate? We published a video this week about a family who moved up significantly. Their mortgage payment went up, but their overall monthly payments went down. Guys, those are real things that are happening in this environment. So if you're not having these high-level conversations, I would encourage you to dig a little deeper on who you're talking with. So brilliant, brilliant question. Gift of equity is how it works. And if you need some strategic advice about that or want to talk specifics, just give me a shout. All right, Jen, I'm tossing it your way for another question.
Arnold is asking, what are the costs involved in getting a reverse mortgage? Are there ongoing fees?
Hey, Arnold, that is a brilliant question, my man. The traditional closing costs should be expected, right? You're going to have the title charges. You may or may not need a survey. You're going to need an appraisal. You may have to increase your homeowner's insurance because your loan balance is likely increased. The one that catches people off guard, there is a mortgage insurance component as part of this loan product, but it's because it's a federally insured loan and it's insured against the eventuality that you may owe more than the property's worth. So it's non-recourse for your heirs. If you owe $300 and it's worth $200 at your death, they give the keys back to the bank and the bank deals with the rest. And because of that, there's an insurance component that's built into the closing costs and the loan that a lot of people are caught off guard by because they're just unaware of it. So I would encourage you to go to mrmortgageradio.com and click on that More About Reverse button. It'll walk you through it. You can request the booklet, and then I would welcome a conversation if you need more information. But brilliant question. Hey, Jen, let's keep them rolling. Can we get a couple more in?
Nathan in Virginia sent us this one. We'd like to help our grandson buy his first home. I know we can give him a down payment, but is there a limit to how much we can give him?
Hey, awesome grandparents. You are the people I was speaking to a minute ago. Awesome. That's a great question, and there is no limit on how much you can gift him. So you can give him the biggest helping hand that you can if you'd like. So brilliant question. I hope that helps. Hey, Jen, throw me another.
Rich sent us an email. Is there a downside to an FHA loan if we have good credit? I remember some changes where higher scores are penalized. Is this just for FHA? Our scores are in the high 700s.
Hey, Rich, that was a bunch of hogwash, my man. It wasn't FHA. It was the loan level pricing adjustments. And no, there's no downside to FHA with this very one exception. If the property value increases and the loan value decreases to the point that you now owe 80% or less of the property, technically it's 78%, but 80% or less of the property, with a conventional loan, you can request that the mortgage insurance be dropped. With an FHA loan, that's not the case. That's really the only drawback, if there is indeed a drawback. The FHA loan product is starting with a lower interest rate right now, and with those credit scores, you're going to have a very low mortgage insurance premium proportionate to, say, a conventional loan. So I don't see a downside. I would need to know how large of a down payment you want to put down, because that might skew the answer a bit. But no, I would march forward proudly with those credit scores. And if you need any help figuring out that FHA loan, give us a call. We're here and happy to help. Hey guys, you hear the music. You know what that means. That is my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBO, the commission killer. FSBO is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOZILLA.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBO, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOZILLA.com. FSBO, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOZILLA.com.
Have you recently gotten a mortgage approval and now you're wondering, how do you know if it's a good deal? I mean, the wrong decision can cost tens of thousands of dollars in fees and interest rate. Is any of this negotiable? Is this a good rate? Guys, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are happy at no cost or obligation to you to take a look at that fee sheet for you. We'll go line by line through it, and one of three things will happen. One, we may congratulate you on getting an awesome deal, and then you can exhale and move forward knowing you did great. Or two, we may be able to point out some places in that fee sheet that you can go back and renegotiate a better deal with your current lender. Or three, and guys, this one's my favorite, we may be able to offer you even a better deal, saving you in fees or interest rate or both. Guys, there's no obligation. Just go to mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Click on that fee sheet review icon and we'll do the rest. It's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, my name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Guys, questions or comments, call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. Jen is womanning the hotline. She'll get you on the air. If you prefer to shoot us an email, just head over to mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the email icon, and you can shoot her your question that way. But I'm going to throw it to Jen right now for another question.
There's a lot of FSBO questions this week, and I love it. James wants to know, how do I determine the right selling price for my home in a FSBO sale? Should I get an appraisal? Can you help with that?
Hey, James, great question. And probably one of the most important things to get right is the pricing. We all have a tendency to think our baby is the most beautiful, and that also goes with our homes. Oftentimes we think it's worth more just because it's ours. So getting the pricing right is super important, and an appraisal may be the best way to go. But before you spend money on an appraisal, I would love to run a free value report for you. Just head over to mrmortgageradio.com, scroll down to the free value report link, click on that, and then fill the form out. We'll run a report and shoot it back. And it's a very robust, data-rich report. It'll show you all of the comparable sales, how your property stacks up from a size and age standpoint to the comps, what's currently on the market. It's quite a detailed report, and oftentimes with that data, you have a very, very good jumping off point to evaluation. We use it when we're just trying to do a very quick desk appraisal almost, if you will. It's not an appraisal, but it gives you a pretty tight range. It's more accurate than a lot of the online estimates. So I would start there, and if you need an appraiser, I'd be happy to refer you to one. All right, Jen, give me another question.
Helen emailed this. How do I handle showings and open houses in a FSBO sale?
Hey, Helen, another for sale by owner question. Man, you write a book on for sale by owner and look what happens, right? I am a big fan of the private open house, which is basically just a pre-scheduled window of time where you're only allowing the pre-approved buyers who have already been vetted into the property. So it's not an open house. It almost looks like a barbecue from your neighbor's standpoint because there's 4 cars in your driveway. But that way you're not letting unvetted, unidentified strangers into your property, which is often the most uncomfortable part for people, whether you're using an agent or not, is the thought of a bunch of strangers traipsing through your property. So I reference it in the book. If you want to talk through the details, I'm a big fan of the private open house because that keeps you in control of the day and the time, and you can go about your life. And that way, you know, only vetted and verified people who are pre-approved are coming through your property. And I wouldn't be too shy to ask them to produce their identification. And part of the program is we're doing the pre-approvals for you as the approved lender for the for sale by owner. And guys, that's why we do this. We wrote this book and the 4 guides and put all this together because I want to approve all of the buyers. I'll help you any way I can through the process, but I'd love the opportunity to approve the buyers. And the buyers that we are approving under this program, we're letting them know that the owner is going to ask them for their identification to confirm it's actually them. These are fully vetted, fully approved buyers that are showing up for this quote unquote private open house. So that's my idea of the optimum way to do it. And I'd love the opportunity to talk you through it if you need some help. All right, Jen, what do you have?
Lisa sent us this. Is the rec refinance the same as an equity loan? If it is, aren't we better off with an equity line of credit?
Hey, Lisa, brilliant question. No, the rec refinance is not an equity loan or an equity line. It's a brand new mortgage, and we're taking some of the equity and paying off your debt. REC, R-E-C, stands for Reduce, Eliminate, and Consolidate. And it's a refinance product that allows you to reduce your debt load by rolling it into a new mortgage. Now, sometimes a home equity line of credit makes more sense, but sometimes you don't qualify for a home equity line of credit or HELOC because it's treated as new debt. So if you've got car payments and RV payments and credit card payments and you want to pay all those off, when you go to your bank and they evaluate your credit, debt to income, right? DTI, you hear that term. They look at your debt load and say, oh my gosh, you can't afford another monthly payment. And you say, yeah, but I'm going to pay all of this off. Well, with the rec refi, we can exclude all of that now to lower your debt to income so you qualify, with the caveat that it has to be paid at closing. So sometimes the rec refi makes more sense. Sometimes the equity line makes more sense. But brilliant question. They're two very, very different products. And guys, the Fed just raised interest rates, which means equity lines have gone up. And they're at prime plus 2, prime plus 3. There are people paying 10, 11% interest on equity lines right now. And if you can use a buy down strategy and get a mortgage rate at 6, man, that might save you a load of money each month compared to the blended rate of an equity line and keeping your current low interest rate. So I welcome that conversation too. I'm having a lot of fun talking with people about the blended rate calculation and the true cost of money. So, I hope that helps. And very different products. If you need more information, let's talk off the air. All right, Jen, I'm going to try to squeeze these last couple in. Go ahead.
Here's an interesting question from George. How can I use the funds from a reverse mortgage? Can we use it to buy a rental property?
Hey, George, that's a great question, my man. In theory, you can, assuming that there's enough of it. You could use the equity as a down payment and then use the landlord loan to buy a rental property. And then, boom, you've set yourself up with no monthly mortgage payment required on your primary and an additional income stream from the rental property. So I love that idea. Yeah, you win the brilliant idea of the day award. Great question, my man. Go ahead, Jen.
Lexi has a question. My sister's roommate is a realtor. I showed her the FSBO Zilla program, and she told me she can net me more money. Surely I'm missing something.
And stop calling me Shirley. Remember that? What was that? Airplane? I love that movie. I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue. I'm not surprised that that's their gut reaction. I don't know how someone's going to sell the property for more than it's worth. I mean, I think those days are behind us. The most recent NAR statistics that came out showed the average asking price to contract price has fallen under 100% again. It's like 94, 95, 96, somewhere in there. I'll find that and post it to the Facebook page. So I don't know that that's the case, because if the value is $100 and someone's going to charge you a commission for selling it for $100, I don't know how that nets you more than you selling it for $100 on your own. But I might be missing something. It doesn't surprise me that she's resistant to the idea, because she wants to sell as many properties as possible. And guys, I can't stress enough, this isn't for everybody. There are people who go to Home Depot and they buy a bunch of wood and load it in their truck and come home and they build their own deck on the back of the house, or they'll paint their own house, or they fix their own cars. This is for the do-it-yourself culture. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of ins and outs and moving parts of selling a property, and a realtor can bring real value. Guys, I'm proud to endorse the Really Great Agents Network. You can go to MrMortgageRadio.com and click on that link and be connected with a really great agent. We haven't changed any of that. I'm doing this because as we are moving forward in this environment, more and more people want to tackle this themselves, and that's what this is for. And if you can get I don't know how, if you sell it for $100 and it's only worth $100, if you sold it for $80, yeah, she could net you more. But if it's worth $100 and you can get $100 or she can get $100 and you don't have to pay the commission on the $100, I don't know how there's a net benefit. There's a big convenience, which may be all the benefit you need to justify the additional expense, I guess is where I'm going with that. So, but great question. If anybody wants more information, go to MrMortgageRadio.com, click on the FSBO Zilla link, read the book, and then let's talk. Because as I mentioned, not for everybody, but for the people that are willing to go through the process, man, tens of thousands of dollars in real estate commission are being saved every day by going by owner. But anyway, guys, you hear the music. You know what that means? That means, we wrapped up another week of the show. Man, time flies. Wow. Thank you for all your questions and comments. Guys, if you need us during the week, go to MrMortgageRadio.com. MrMortgageRadio.com. Everything is there. The for sale by owner, the reverse mortgage, the rec refi, everything we talk about. MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, have an amazing week. Jen and I will be back next week right here. Same time, same station. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.